I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. Today is Thursday, January 23rd. Before I get into the details, I want to mention that I saw my old friend Eric Bent in Newport Harbor on Sunday, and he mentioned that him and his dad Jerry watched the video regularly. And I haven't seen Jerry in a while, but I hear he's having some health issues. So if you're watching this one, Jerry, my family and I are praying for you to feel better, and I appreciate you watching. So yeah, Eric used to run the SWVA with James Shanlin, and his dad Jerry is quite the fisherman. Featured him in several articles in Pacific Coast Sport Fishing magazine. So it was nice to hear he's still around and watching the videos. Anyway, weather this week is been mixed up, but this weekend the bad news is it's going to rain and be onshore conditions, onshore wind. Not a great weekend to fish. Hopefully it'll help out with the fires that are going on. But it's wintertime. What do you expect? It might be great again early next week. Might be good next weekend. Who knows? So I'm just going to continue on as if the weather's not happening, because it's going to be happening sporadically here for the next few months, and we'll have to fish around it. You know, starting up north, again, no coverage up there really this week. Half the places are dealing with Santa Ana winds and fires, and a lot of the boats are laid in. I know the Aloha Spirit took their last trip of the season over the weekend before laying in for boat work, and they had good halibut fishing at Santa Cruz. So I'd imagine private boaters could go there and do the same. Yeah, sorry about that. Private boaters probably go over there and catch some bass as well, or fish those flukes along the beach and catch halibut. It's a good time of year to fish coastal sand bass, calicos up that way as well. And before I go too far here, I want to talk about sand bass. There's some legislation that's going to be coming out this year. I don't know if you call it legislation, new rules potentially. They're going to limit the take of sand bass, and they're may talk about closing it all together during the summer months and keeping it, you know, lowering the limit to 0 to 5 of them the rest of the year. If you see anything like this or hear anything about it, don't support it. It's all flawed science or lack of science. I just read a report on it. They're saying that they need to do this, but there's been no formal stock assessment on sand bass. They're just saying that because sand bass aren't being reported in the fish counts as much as they used to, they're going to shut it down because they think the species is collapsing. I know I've talked about this before, but it's a bit of a sore subject. We have to demand of our fisheries officials that they at least show us some science, even if it's bought and paid for by the environmentalists. They can't just say there's been no stock assessment, but we're going to close it down anyway. I talked to one of the scientists promoting this maybe a month ago, and he said that one of the reasons the sand bass counts are down is because they've lost their spawning habitat. And when I asked him what their spawning habitat was, he said it was eelgrass beds in San Diego Bay, Mission Bay, Newport Bay. Anybody knows anything about sand bass knows that sand bass do not spawn in the bay. They spawn in open water. That's why there's spawning aggregations in 60 to 100 feet of water that sport boats target. The sand bass fishing we had here in the 80s and 90s was not here before that, and is not here now. In the 50s, they were called rock bass. They weren't around like that. The fish that were coming in and spawning in our area, it's not like they came to a particular place and we fished them out. Those spawning sand bass, if you guys weren't around back then, they would show up anywhere between Santa Barbara and below the Mexican border on any given year, and sometimes in multiple areas en masse. There are more sand bass there spawning than can be accounted for in local populations. Because you can go to a rock or a reef and still catch the local resident sand bass there as well. So I don't know where these fish came from. Scientists don't either. They just say, oh, they're overfished. Are they, or did they just stop coming up here? If they overfished the sand bass, what happened to the barracuda that used to come with them? They don't come anymore either. Yet they're not saying those were overfished, which is weird because they were hand in hand. I mean, there was days in the late 80s, early 90s where you got to catch 500 sand bass and 400 barracuda on a 3-quarter day trip. When's the last time you've seen either? Yeah, so Sand bass came from deep water every year. They just appeared. They didn't go down the beach. They just showed up in places. Barracuda the same way. One day there's no barracuda, then every barracuda in the world is here. Might have had to do with the anchovy cycle, switching to a sardine cycle. Might have had to do with the giant squid that came up and ate all the sand bass. They were not ate all the sand bass, but were in the same area the sand bass were in their spawn in the mid-90s when they first stopped coming. It's not overfishing. It's just a knee-jerk reaction that the government is having to say, oh, we need to do something. There was nothing to cause these bluefin tuna to come back and stay here suddenly. You know, Fish and Game says, oh, they were overfished in 1900. You know, with the amount of fishing pressure they have today compared to what guys in rowboats and sailboats in 1900 with a flying fish on Linden Line, they're overfishing them? No. The fish moved on, and now they're back. So, if we continue to let scientists judge what we can and cannot fish for without producing science or studies, they can make up whatever they want. Next year they can say yellowtail are endangered. We haven't caught any of those in the last few years. You know, we haven't, the sea bass bite wasn't as good as it was. Maybe we should lower those standards. Maybe we should make the size limit bigger. These are just knee-jerk, biased reactions with no science behind them. So, what can you do as a fisherman? Not a whole lot. You can join the CCA, Coastal Conservation Association of California. They definitely work to go to bat for us. They have lawyers and things to get involved with this stuff. You could not agree to sign any kind of petitions that are for fisheries closures, and you can make other people aware of it. Maybe make people in your family who are not fishermen aware of the nonsense that's going on, and maybe they'll make some different decisions when voting. I don't know. But, well, it's quite a rant I'm on today. I'm sorry about that. The diet's still going good, by the way. It might be part of that. I'm kind of hungry. Speaking of the CCA, I was on their podcast a couple weeks ago, and it's out now. So you go to the CCA California website. You can go to the media tab at the top, go down to the podcast, and then I'm the first one up there. It's about an hour long. I talked with Chris and Tony about a number of things. And I'm pretty much all over the place like I am in these videos, so if you like these, you might like that. All right, back to the fishing. The only island report I got was my friends Gary Reyes, Jay Jones, and Mike Stembridge went to Cat on Sunday. They had pretty good bass fishing. Weedless swim baits, crankbaits, leadhead swim baits, and while they were there, Mike Stembridge caught a sand bass, which you can't catch Catalina Island. To go along with the Calicos, they decided for fun they would go into Cat Harbor where spotted bay bass live and see if he could get a Catalina bass trifecta, which after a few failed attempts, Mike got a nice spotty to go along with the sand bass and Calicos. So just because it's not wide open doesn't mean you can't go over there and have some fun fishing and maybe set a little challenge for yourself trying to catch different species. I fished local on Sunday as well. It was horrible. Cold, offshore wind. Me and Jimmy fished the Newport Pipe. We had 3 bass in about an hour, and it was too cold and too windy, so we went home. But the fish were high in the water column. We got 1 on a crankbait and I think 2 on a jerk shad. The fish were schooled up when they were when you found them on bait balls, but you know, a brisk 10 to 12 knots of offshore wind made for not so fun fishing, so we called it a day early. Another local private boat news, I got a report from Mike Hines, who fished Palos Verdes at night earlier this week. You know, as much as I love fishing, I don't like fishing at night anymore. It's just can't see, and I would think fishing around Palos Verdes with the kelp and everything would be quite frustrating for me. But Mike went out and got a real nice calico bass, and he said it was pretty good fishing overall. So maybe that's what I missed out on. I don't know. Other local action, the sport boats are fishing leadhead and squid for sculpin and sand bass and calicos. The New Del Mar to Santa Marga's Bay has been doing really good consistently up there. And the Native Sun has been doing twilight trips to supplement their halibut derby. So on the twilight trips, they're fishing sand bass and sculpin, calicos, and during the day they're fishing halibut. They've had some pretty good halibut fishing so far. That should improve as water temps stabilize, I think. But I know them and the Some Fun at Dana are the ones running the derbies. So if you want to do that, go check them out. Yeah, I apologize for that again. I have my allergies are going nuts, and I've had to sneeze twice during this video from all the dust blowing around. So down south, the boats fishing day and a half trips to Colonet had good rock fishing, no sign of yellowtail. There was some rumor of tuna being seen down south of the border there. I don't think anybody got on it last weekend, but I did see that the Guardian charters out of San Diego went out earlier this week. Found some bluefin in range of San Diego, I think full day range. Maybe a little further than that, I'm not sure. I don't have all the details, but they went 0 for 2. I noticed some fish seen 70 to 80 miles from San Diego earlier in the week by a spotter plane. If the last few years hold true, that stuff might slide up here. I have not looked at the sea surface temperature chart this week. I thought to do it and I forgot about it before my video. You guys can look for yourselves. What we're going to need is some stable water down the beach and outside with a way to get up within 70 miles of San Diego for those fish to move up that way and maybe further up. I don't know. I'll definitely be taking a look at it and talking about it next week, but that's what's been happening in the winter. You know, it was, 4 years ago, we got fish in January. Last few years, it's been early as well. April, March. I think last year was a little bit later. The year before was April. Those fish will slide up here. They don't particularly care about cold water. They like stable water and a lot of bait. And when I say that, they catch these fish off San Francisco. They catch them off Cambria. They catch them in Washington. So the water up there is not as warm as it is down here, obviously, but the fish still bite. So I think that they're going to follow whatever's happening. But, the one thing that pushed them into our waters, I believe, is the counter current we get here during the summer months, which pushes the warmer water up into our area, but it also pushes bait fish and everything else up. So we've got plenty of bait fish in our outer waters here currently, but we need something to connect those tuna that are down below the border with this bait fish up here. So I'm not sure what that's going to take, maybe a week or two of stable weather, or we might be waiting until that current switches and starts running up the line again. Who knows? I'm not predicting early season bluefin this year, but there may be fish and within 40 or 50 miles of San Diego if things hold together here. So I guess that's it. Yeah, don't support any closures, especially sand bass. Please watch my podcast video. I'd like to support CC, and you should join them if you get a chance. They're going to do that star tournament again this year, where you get a certain measurement for each species of fish. It costs like $40 to enter. You get a tape measure. You upload pictures of the fish you catch on a tape measure, and you get entered in to win prizes. They're giving away an 18-foot Parker center console, trips to Cedros Island, trips to Canada, Alaska, things like that. All kinds of great prizes. So definitely something to check out. They'll be at the PCS show in March. Stop by there, talk to Tony or Chris, and get signed up for that. And I hope the rain, since it's not going to help the fishing, helps the fire out this weekend. And if you guys are in the fire area, I hope you stay safe, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and talk to you next week.